My name is Jeremiah Olenu. I'm an attorney in Connecticut. My firm is Olenu and Associates, and I'm going to share with you some tips that you need to consider when you are looking for a divorce attorney. First and foremost, I want you to understand that divorce is a very, very, very difficult situation, not because you are going through a change, but because your status financially, emotionally, and any other way that you can think about is changing. And what you have to look for is an attorney who can help you with that transition. The divorce itself is not the important thing. The divorce is only a process. The key is where you're going to end up financially. Where are you going to be? Financially, where do you want to be? Are you going to be able to keep the house you live in? And if you do, are you able to pay for it? Can you keep the responsibilities you have? What are you going to do about your children? You need an attorney who can help you cut through all the noise that divorce creates and really help you focus on what your life is going to be after the divorce, after the marriage. Here's what most people don't understand. Divorce really has very little to do with courts. Divorce has everything to do with the change in your status. You see, when you are married, you have certain privileges and rights and duties by virtue of the fact that you have somewhat of a corporate body. You and your spouse get certain tax breaks and so on and so forth. Banks treat you differently. When you are single, you're giving up those rights, which means that your cash flow situation is going to change tremendously. Whether you keep that house, you keep the car, you have the children, and all of those things. The key point is, are you going to be able to make the kind of life you envision having after the relationship is over? That's what I focus on. That's what most attorneys who do divorces and do it very well, that's what they focus on. Getting you from the position you are now to the position that you really want to be. And that means trying to help you cut out all the emotional and the psychological noises that come with separating yourself from the other party. Here's why most people have a lot of difficulty with divorce. You are very much attached to that individual. Financially, you are attached to them. Emotionally, you're attached to them. You have children you are raising together. And there's all these little pieces that come into place that you need to settle. The marriage itself is ending. The question is, what is the life going to be like? And so for you to do that and find the right person to help you, first look at the expertise. What kind of track record for success do these people have? The attorney you're choosing, how successfully has this person helped people transition from a marriage situation to no longer be married, to a single life? And how you assess that is to look at how many people who they have helped get divorced who have had to go back to court to litigate things that were left undone or not done properly. In my practice, I try very, very hard, and most of my clients are going to tell you that I try very hard to step in there with them. I step into your shoes. I try to walk it with you. And that means making myself very accessible to my clients. Clients can call me on a cell phone, they can call me at the office, they can text me, they can email me, because this is a life change that is going to require availability. They have questions, they have to get those questions answers. They have to get answers to the questions. The second thing is this. You have children, and if you have children, I want you to understand very clearly that your children, as important as they are to you, are actually not part of your marriage. Your children, for better or worse, are continuing responsibility for care, love, affection, and financial after your marriage. Try very, very hard to keep an objective view about your children. The attachment to children creates incredible custody battles that I try very, very hard to help my client deal with. I'm not saying your children are not important. They are very, very important. The complication with children is sometimes the fact that most people are looking for child support, and they need to have that support from the other spouse. They need to be able to make sure that their children continue to receive the same care they got during the marriage. How do we develop a parenting plan that allows both parties and their children to remain an intact family even though they are no longer living in the same house or in the same community? It's very, very important that you have an attorney who's empathetic, who understands what it means for you to maintain your family values the same way you had it during your marriage, even though you are no longer an intact family. These are very key issues that have to be dealt with. And then we cannot get away from the fact that money is a big deal. Divorce is a very, very costly situation for most people. That means if you have the opportunity to do this the right way, at the least financial cost to you and your spouse, that means you can do it without destroying all the financial safeguards or the money that you've saved up, and probably the money you should be using for your children. If you can get divorced and do it well without wasting a lot of money, then mediation might be a very good choice for you. Divorce mediation is for people who understand that they can be adults, even though they disagree strongly. Can you and your spouse, who you are no longer going to be married to, sit down and have a conversation about what happens after your marriage? That means this: you can think about things differently and yet know that there are certain principles that still hold you together because you have responsibilities after the divorce. But you can't do this alone because courts follow rules, and not for nothing, but not everyone understands what happens in court. For that reason, it helps if you have an attorney who understands how the court system works. Most people don't understand this, but you could actually get divorced these days without ever having to step foot in court. And a mediator, an experienced mediator, a caring mediator, someone who understands and knows how the court system works, can get you to do all of this with as little pressure on you, on your own time, on your own schedule, without the financial burden that most people who litigate will have to suffer if they litigate their divorce. So if you're going to get mediation and do divorce mediation and do it right, there are three things I really want you to ask, and they are very general things, okay? First, this is going to be very difficult for you, but what do you want? What do you really, really want? I need you to sit down and take an inventory of the things you really want. Is it important to you to maintain a relationship with your children? Is it important to you that you maintain a certain cash flow? Is it important to you that you live in a certain place? If you have children, do you want to be in a certain school district? And if you had a house now in that school district, would you be able to maintain it? What is important to you? Take an inventory of the things that are important to you, because your divorce mediation or your divorce process itself must be focused on those things you want. Now, the second question is this: why should a court give it to you? And if the court gives you what you're looking for, how will that affect the rights of the other party, your spouse? Should the court give this to you? And if the court does it, would it be fair? Now, if you start to ask the same things and your spouse starts to ask the same things, if that spouse gets what they are asking for, would it be fair to you? So try to be fair, because ultimately, at least in Connecticut, a court is going to have to make a finding that the division of your assets is fair and equitable. Okay, so if you start asking for things that you know are not fair and not equitable, maybe you should reassess why you're asking for those things. The other thing is about your children. Custody is a big thing, like I pointed out. If you are fighting for your children, know that courts are going to focus on what is best for your kids? What's in the best interest of your kids? Now, that decision or that consideration is very broad. There are many, many different criteria and points that the court is going to look to. But ultimately, are your children safe? Are they in a good school? Are you able to provide for them? The lifestyle they've been used to, there'll be changes, but would they meaningfully be able to preserve the lifestyle they have? And number 3, well, how are you going to get what it is that you're asking for? What is the process for you to get it? That starts with gathering some documents. Documents to prove that the things you are looking for and the things you're asking the court to give you are appropriate for you. That means the court can apply the law to the facts that you're presenting and make sure that what you get is fair, is equitable, and in the best interest of your children. Now, I should point out to you that even though I strongly advocate that people should mediate because it's sensible, it's the adult thing to do, unfortunately, sometimes mediation is just not right. In fact, if you are in a situation where there is abuse, where there is threats, where you believe that there is no possibility of fair outcome if you mediate, then there is no use trying to mediate. Then at that point, you need to probably get a lawyer. Lawyer yourself up. Find a lawyer who is very, very conscientious, but also very committed to getting you what you want in a fair and dedicated way, so that you can actually get what you want. Because if you get mediation just because you don't want to be confrontational, you have lost. And it's not going to be good for you. I hope this helps out. If the information that I've shared with you is helpful to you, and you want to have a conversation about your personal situation, please contact us at the link on this website. And we'll be happy to get back to you and talk to you about your individual situation and help you as much as we can. We look forward to meeting you. Thank you.